Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. My name's Jim. You can find us at our website, babyboomertales.com. At our website, there's our Boomers General Store, links to places you can hear our podcast, our Twitter page, our LinkedIn page, our Facebook page. You can contact us at babyboomertales@gmail.com. It's just me and a grand dog here today. Good old Reed. She's a good old girl. Getting a little long in the tooth, but she's been a good dog for one of my grandchildren. That's a fact. We just got back from a trip to Colorado. Now, we didn't go to my little hometown, and I would have liked to have gone. They had a all-school reunion during the time we were in Colorado. But we went to watch some grandchildren while my daughter and her husband went on like a second honeymoon or something. They had a wonderful time. They got to relax and just be alone together for a while. And we got to spend some quantity and quality time with a couple of the grandkids. And a couple of the others were out of town themselves. They have 4 kids. But while we were in Colorado, and there's parts of it I just still dearly love, and other parts just get my goat. You know, you have a goat that gets got. Well, the parts I love is the dry air. It was pretty warm up there for that time of year. Of course, where my daughter's family lives is a couple thousand feet lower in elevation than the town I was raised in. But there's still mountains, beautiful mountains all around, kind of right on top of you there, in a way, much closer to their house than my house where I grew up. We lived in a great big valley when I was a kid, a little town, but there were mountains all the way around us. Well, the air is so dry and wonderful, it's easy to get sunburned because you're closer to the sun at that elevation, but it's just so comfortable to be outside. I got back to Kansas. It was quite humid and has been humid, and it's usually pretty humid in the summer anyway. And so I do miss that dry air back there. But the things I don't miss, and I've talked about this before, and I apologize in advance because I'm going to talk about it again. Number one is Colorado's roads are the pits. My dad always said you can tell when you come back into Colorado because the roads are so terrible, and I concur. They are terrible. As soon as we hit Interstate 70 at the Kansas-Colorado border, it just would almost shake your car apart and you hit potholes and washboards and half of the pavement is gone. It was just not good. Kansas roads are, luxurious. The other thing is their silly little law about putting the things you buy in a store into a bag. They're not saving the planet. Believe you me, they're not saving the planet. It's just stupid. We were standing in back of a couple at a Walmart in Denver. We were down at a tournament in Denver, and Kim needed a visor. The sun was blaring hot, on her face. So we stand in line to buy this little visor for her. And this couple were checking out, and the guy was trying to hold everything in his arms, probably about 12, 14 pieces. And he had them all kind of balanced there pretty good. And the lady's credit card didn't work. And she tried a second card, and it didn't work. And she was embarrassed at one point, but then she had to have him try his card. And so he had to unpack everything back onto the counter and then use his card and then try to balance it all back on his arms again. And it was just stupid. A coworker and I used to sing this little song when we had to do a dumb task at work. This is stupid and I hate it. This is stupid and I hate it. This is stupid and I hate it. This bag thing is stupid and I hate it. I can't get off of it. Every time I go somewhere, I mean, we went and bought groceries because we were with the kids for a week while my daughter was gone, and no bag. They don't even offer a box, and this is where I'm going with this. When I was a kid, the groceries that came from the warehouse, we'd cut the box, and then we'd let the people have a choice of a bag or a box to put their groceries in. And you always need a box, right? Or at least the days before Amazon, you always needed a box. Well, the stores today destroy those boxes. They send them to the landfill. Hold on here, this is where I can't put this together. Are we saving the planet by throwing all those boxes that all the pork and beans came in? Or all the laundry detergent came in? Big old cardboard box? And not giving you a little flimsy plastic bag? Why don't we give you a choice? At least, do you want a box for that stuff? But nope, they don't do that. So Colorado, you've lost your frickin' mind. I know, you want to be California, and it's really sad. That's my home state. It's a beautiful state, and you've just gone bonkers crazy. But the air is sure nice. There's a lot of great people that still live there. And it'll always be home to me, even if they don't give you a bag. Enough about that. It's the 4th of July week. Tomorrow is Independence Day. Rockets red glare and the bombs bursting in air. Be safe out there, please. Please be safe out there. I want to say one little thing about grandchildren before we get away from it, because, I got to watch my grandkids. Well, one is about 15 years old, and the other one's about 9, the ones that we watched. And then they have a couple more different ages. And it started me thinking, when a grandchild's a baby and a toddler and a little kid, they love grandma and grandpa so much. They're your best friend. You can be their best friend. And it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. You're the most important person besides mom and dad in their life. Well, by the time they start getting a little older, you become a little less important. And then once they become teenagers, they may love you, but they don't really vocalize it that much. They don't really show it. The world is so tough on them, and they're trying to grow up and become adults, and it's a tough thing to be a kid anyway, especially in this day and age. But all of a sudden, you appear to be less important to them. I think in their heart that you're not, but it's not like when they're 3. Not at all. Not at all. I know with me, with my grandparents, by the time I got to be a teenager and even a young adult, they were there, and I just didn't realize how precious and special that was. So I can't get my feelings hurt because my grandchildren have to experience the same thing, apparently. But one thing I want to say to them is they're always precious and special to me, no matter what. No matter what age, no matter what they're going through. I love you, grandkids.
Housekeeping.
Our housekeeping this week, our last episode, I made a statement that was not true. My statement was that Connie was my only living aunt. Well, that's not true. I've got Betty Ann and Jerry. They're still doing well and very much alive, and I apologize for that. I don't know what I was thinking. They were just in the heat of the moment, and I didn't catch it while I was editing the episode out. So Betty Ann and Jerry, my apologies. I miss both of you. I know where this came from. Connie's my age, basically, and for some reason, it just got past me as I was yammering on and on. Our song of the week is Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, written and sung by band member Stevie Nicks. This great iconic song reached number 51 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. Only 51? but it is listed as number 163 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time, and it has sold well over 2 million copies. Nix wrote this song as she was contemplating going back to school or to keep playing music with roommate Lindsey Buckingham. She was working as a waitress and a cleaning lady, supporting both her and old Buckingham. That happens sometimes with your boyfriend, you know. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. I believe that's her very best vocal ever. When I was a kid, I'd be down there on Main Street and I'd have to walk home. One of the ways I would go up is First Street. And I'd cross Main Street. I'd start there at Raglan's Cafe, later to be Edwards Cafe, and then the Red Apple. I think it's Bob and Joe's liquor store today. But I'd cross the street fast as I could in the summer because cars were whizzing by at 40 miles an hour. And I'd get across the street, and on the left was the bank. That's where Dave's dad worked. Later he'd leave that bank and he would start his own insurance agency, and that bank became a savings and loan, and they built a new bank right next door. On the right was Alvy's Conoco. Now Alvy was my grandpa's nephew, and he was Bonnie and Susie and Colleen's dad, so they were like second cousins or something to me. He is the first one to have the big old sign. Big sign said Conoco all up and down, went clear up in the air. Keep walking. And on the right was Pam's dad's flooring company, and on the left was the lumber yard. That was a big old building with lumber trucks and people scurrying around all over there, and then you have to cross old Jasper Street, and on the right was Jeff's house, and his dad was the dentist in town, and on the left was Doc Ogden's place, and he'd still make house calls. If you had the measles or something, he'd come to your house. You wouldn't have to somehow make it to his office and sit in the waiting room. None of that action. Old Doc would come right to the house. Keep walking. On the left with the Little League field. Now, I'm quite familiar with the Little League field because that's where I spent my summer days, is right down there all day, every day, playing baseball. And on the right, well, that was my Uncle Victor's house. And then one day, Jerry and Sue bought that place and put an upstairs to it and remodeled it and made it a big old house right there on the corner. Now I'm starting up the hill, and on the left, well, that's where old Kent lived. And Kent owned the grocery store right across the street from my dad's grocery store. Later he sold the store and the house to Ken. Ken had a couple boys my age, Gary and Dave, and I liked that store a lot better when Gary and Dave's dad owned it than when old Mr. Kent owned it. On the right, going up that hill, was the place where old Charlie shot his abusive son-in-law. Killed him dead right there when I was a boy. For years it still had a bullet hole right in the wall. That was an amazing thing to walk by. I'd always look for that bullet hole as I was trudging up the hill. Well, now there's no houses going up the hill, going up the hill, and going up the hill, and going up the hill. And on the left, there's just nothing there. And on the right, well, that's old Dwayne. His folks owned that house. Later, I can't quite remember who owned it before they did. And I turned there on Garnet Street, and I'd have to trudge up that hill, and there's nothing on my left. In Dwayne's parents' house, it went quite a ways back there. And then finally, I get to the top of the hill, and there's Fred and Carolyn's on the left. On the right was a big old, just a hill. A lot of sagebrush and bluebell flowers. Well, and then there's my parents' house, sitting there, tall as can be. Big old windows looking out over the town and the Continental Divide. The yard is manicured real well. I know that because I had to mow it. It stayed that way till the town put water meters in. Used to be you'd pay a flat rate for water. Once water meters went into town, people's lawns weren't so pretty anymore. You see, in that country, if you water something, it just goes down through the gravel and the rocks and the sand and doesn't hold the moisture at all. Well, I miss that old house. I hate to see it today, I really do. I better sign off. Old Reed's whining. I think she wants to go outside. Wake up each day with a grateful heart. Always be kind. Thank you for riding along today. I really appreciate it. I'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out.